会这些不大家的。
It's better.
这画面看就很简单。
那也给提过。拿了，有人拿了。
哦，可以画吗？
有。
是那种白色的那个。
我敞开画粉色。
哦。
现在开了，哎，开了。
और तने खेले चर्च में बाकी चर्च जैसे कि चलो पर तो नया रहा जब इतना इमेज भी चलते इसलिए ये बने तब में से दादा ऐसे जैसा खिनी जो सेंस खिला बना दे खिनी सुनी या मारते ये ना पर ना कुछ चीज़ तब तक ना कुछ चीज़ ने ना कब चीज़ कौन है तो जैसे कि इसमें और ज़्यादा मतलब सुआंगे मैं हमारे लिए में
At the outset, please take a moment to cultivate proper motivation, preferably in the tune of bodhicitta, aspiring to attain Buddhahood, to fulfill the aspiration of all sentient beings and to place them in a state of complete happiness and joy. And also remember to free oneself of the faults of the three defective paths while listening to the Dharma. Now, these past many days, we have been discussing the practices concordant with the three levels of practitioners, beginning with the low-scope practitioners through the middling scope practitioners and ultimately, right now at this moment, the practices of the Bodhisattvas, the great vehicle practitioners. And in this regard, we discussed at length about the benefits and the significance of bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, the mind that aspires and sees, discerns Buddhahood to be the ultimate source of lasting joy and happiness for oneself and others. And thus the aspiration towards that is called bodhicitta. And we have seen that in this regard of the two main lineages or the two main methods of cultivating it, we discussed at length the instruction or the method called the 7-point cause and effect instruction, beginning with discerning all sentient beings as either as one's own mother or someone who have served as one's mother in the past countless births that one has taken, and then following that, remembering their kindnesses during their relationship with oneself as one's mothers, and also as an extension from that, seeing how others have been kind to oneself, even on occasions when they have not served as one's mothers, and likewise. That way we cultivate a sense of how we have benefited from their kindnesses, and then following that understanding, develop a sense of repaying their kindnesses, and following that a natural follow-up, a natural mental follow-up would be to see all sentient beings, irrespective of their immediate circumstances, irrespective of their immediate conditions, etc., seeing them as attractive to oneself, something that appeals to you from the depth of one's heart. And thus, when such happens, then the natural reaction when one sees other sentient beings suffering would be to develop a sincere wish to free them from suffering. And then when they lack happiness, when you happen to look at them from the point of view of lacking happiness, then you wish that they be adorned with happiness and joy forever. And those are love and compassion that follows these previous instructions. And then following a strong generation of love and compassion, one then one then readies oneself to take up the responsibility of fulfilling these wishes upon oneself, and that is called the special resolve. And following the special resolve, one wonders how one would make good such a sense of responsibility, and in the course of an exploration, one then finds that it is ultimately the attainment of Buddhahood by which one could shoulder this responsibility on behalf of others, and thus bring lasting joy and happiness to all sentient beings in the ultimate sense. So this is how we have discussed the way or the method to develop bodhicitta, which is the pinnacle or the supreme among the the best kind of a mental attitude that we can come up with regard to sentient beings, and that serves as a key or a source to a lasting, genuine joy and happiness for others. Now, with regard to the significance or the excellence of bodhicitta, of this kind of mental attitude, Acharya Shantideva says in his masterwork, Bodhicharvatara, he likens bodhicitta to alchemy and says that just as the mere touch of alchemy on all kinds of iron materials would immediately transform these iron materials into gold, such is the case with bodhicitta, that as soon as it is generated, no matter what kind of a realm of birth one may be in, and what kind of a lowly condition one may be in on all other accounts, right from that very moment one is transformed into a very precious birth, and one is transformed into something very worthy of veneration, not just by the human beings, but even by the celestial beings. And in regard to bodhicitta, there are two kinds we already explained yesterday, and those are what is called the aspirational bodhicitta and the engaging bodhicitta. Aspirational bodhicitta is what we begin with when we generate bodhicitta, and until we receive bodhisattva vow, and once we commit ourselves to a certain code of conduct by taking a formal vow, from that point onward, the bodhicitta, the stream of bodhicitta, begins to be called the engaging bodhicitta. Although once one takes the bodhicitta vow, then one is bound to a certain code of conduct, and if one is able to abide by them, then the merits accumulated are definitely manifold and much more greater, whereas it also is accompanied by the danger, so to say, of accruing as great non-virtue once one fails to keep up with these vows. Whereas in the case of aspirational bodhicitta, there is none of those what you call dangers involved, and at the same time, the mere generation of this aspirational bodhicitta does produce a great benefit to oneself, in that as soon as one generates that, it kind of influences, it permeates all the activities that one engages through the three doors of body, speech, and mind, and thus through that one accumulates immense merit, and by the power of that merit, all of our negativities will be eliminated, and thus it does in reality have this transforming effect on our activities, and from that time on our accumulation of merit increases ever more.
Training you don't have to say it. You are getting the daily person sitting and suggesting it to be you don't make it the Katsabe. You can start to be you are the way. Teaches the you are eating or Pachara to look at the regime, but today the way and taking the jigging. Today, Gio Bayente, Tomato, Fiji, Riago, then the Jessica today, or then today, that tea and the Chimbayan, Mugichu Bonga to that one. Mugichu Bonga to the Rinpoche, the same as the Mugichu to the one, Shiraga teaching with it today. Or that today, they call it Sebabina, and I often be Zimbata, Zimbinaneta, Sidenganala, the Yona, Zebate, Zebamina, and the bed, Nado, Comamebana, the name of our Sida, and the Tualet, and the Combine, and the Sidona of the day. That concrete Chibaina, I'll get that one of the John. Zimbabwe Zimbabwe atomic Kitayonara and seriously Kitayonara Sabat Combatin Zibina Lamina Tua get the number and George Ota then that's a big Zenda Fishing Okabaja Saba Kitty in the beach Mercedes and Dubai of my setup and they were semi Dubai of my Tarsa or the Congress made a Hajam made it cheap, but make it with Tishina to some of it, kitchen or sin. Said then the Congress near Savi, you are Kabakonga Savi, the chicken ticket, Congress chicken don't purchase the change of Sumana, the bed, Kabamo will start if you are the day and Congress kitchen ticket, Congress get down to the big take it today and I would want to all the Zebina and Amina, you are just a man. Then thank you about it, said the Zebina and
So, irrespective of whether one has taken the Bodhisattva vow or not, once one has generated Bodhicitta, then the follow-up or the concordant actions, although they are varied, they are manifold, but they can be condensed into the 6 perfections. And we were discussing the 6 perfections one by one. Earlier, we discussed the first of them, which is generosity, and we saw that generosity is basically a matter of one's own mental integrity in terms of how to approach mentally when one engages in an action of giving, and that such an action should not be stained or should not be limited, should not be contained by any sense of loss or any sense of holding on to the act, holding on to the material or whatever one is giving away, and that mainly it is the mental integrity with which you enter into such an act of giving. Either there be material possession, or there be fearlessness, or there be Dharma teaching, whatever. Particularly, say in the case of Dharma teaching, when one does engage in Dharma teaching, but with an expectation of what you call fame or name, or one does that by with a sense of compensation, kind of looking down on others, kind of making oneself look bigger or greater, then the attitude itself is completely insane, and that kind of an action will not at all be counted among pure action of generosity, of giving Dharma to others. So we have seen how generosity has to be done in its pure perspective. Likewise, we have seen that no matter how many actions of generosity we may engage in, so long as we do not take up morality, then the resultant wealth that we enjoy, that we experience from our actions of generosity will be very easily exhausted, and they cannot be sustained through lives. And this is because if one is born in lower realms of existence, then the resultant wealth that you experience from one's own past actions of generosity will be completely exhausted in that lifetime. And then because of the condition, because of the lowly condition, limited condition of the lower river, one will not be able to continue to make use of whatever possessions and wealth one may be enjoying, and thus the resultant wealth will be completely exhausted in their lifetime, and one will be left with no no wealth and possessions to enjoy from one's own past karma. Whereas if one could conjoin one's actions of generosity with the conduct, with the moral conduct, with the moral discipline, then by the virtue of that moral discipline, one will be able to be born in higher realms. And if one enjoys wealth and possession from one's own past actions of generosity in such higher river, then one will be able to make use of the wealth again in furthering actions of generosity, and that eventually again increasing one's occasion of enjoying wealth, and thus making use of the possibility of making use of that in a proper way. And that way, with the practice of morality, one's actions of generosity will be extended and could be sustained through lives, and thus one would have the possibility of making further progression on one's path due to the action of generosity engaged early on. And thus, this is how a bodhisattva perceives the actions of generosity and the actions of morality, and thus engages in them with a proper understanding. And with regard to the morality, there are three kinds. One is called the morality of restraint, where we take upon ourselves certain vows and bind ourselves to certain precepts, certain conducts of certain disciplines of conduct, starting with the 5 precepts, lay vow, onto the ordained vows, and even further to the bodhisattva vows and temporary vows. Those are all different levels of what we might call the ethics of restraint, or the morality of restraint, where we have to observe certain vows, certain precepts, and then try to align one's discipline along with those precepts, and thus discipline oneself and purify one's actions. And the other acts of morality is called the ethics of virtue, where we not only limit our efforts to restraint against non-virtuous actions and harmful actions, but we even make a step ahead and make deliberate effort in accumulating virtues. And then on top of that, there is the morality of working or being of service to sentient beings, and leaving no stone unturned, or leaving no opportunity missed by where one could be of benefit to others, either in the immediate run or in the long term. So these are the certain kinds of morality that one can engage in, and particularly in the case of ordinary person who have not taken or bound oneself to any of these codes of conduct. At the very least, one should practice the morality of restraint against the 10 non-virtuous actions, and those we have already delineated earlier, the 3 of the body, the 4 of the speech, and the 3 of the mind. Those we should at the very least try to stay away from. And whenever we happen to, under the force of ignorance, under the force of our afflictions, we happen to, engage in them, do take time to atone for them, purify them, and then again try to live and to restrain against them. And then comes the third perfection, that of patience. See, due to our intense, strong familiarization with afflictions, particularly anger, jealousy, greed, we lack in our force of patience against any any action or reaction from others, and thus give in to anger, hatred. And anger and hatred, as it is said in Bodhisattva, that anger is the greatest among the known virtues, and that there is no fortitude like patience. But at the same time, anger or hatred is among the very strongest known virtue that we have to keep ourselves from. And that once we give into anger and hatred, then we lose huge mass of our virtues that we may have accumulated in the past within an instant of anger and hatred. And in this regard, anger is very often likened to an inferno in a big fire that is supposed to happen at the end of any cycle of our evolution, that leaves nothing unconsumed. Likewise, anger, once it arises within oneself, then whatever past action which is not dedicated to Buddhahood or to liberation, whatever merits we may accumulate left undedicated, and particularly the merits that we accrue from our acts of generosity, from our acts of morality, those are all consumed by the fire of hatred and anger. So it is only through the practice of patience that we can minimize and mitigate and eventually eliminate these harmful forces of anger and hatred within us. And thus the practice of morality, the practice of patience comes after the practice of morality.
Manga Shushu, Techi, non Chida, the Bilchig, Naga Sine, the Chili, and the
So it is in view of this very destructive potential of anger and jealousy in what you call destroying the past virtues, if they are left there undedicated, that the bodhisattvas take special care and special what you call attention in not giving in to the forces of anger and hatred. And it is only through the practice of patience, through training in remaining patient in the face of adversities, in the face of the difficulties, that one will be able to then eventually mitigate the tendency of being angry and being hateful to others. And this is how the bodhisattvas pay special emphasis in the training of patience. And in our daily life also, as much as we are able to maintain our patience, the unnecessary sufferings and problems, troubles will be much less. And so as soon as we give in, we give in to anger and hatred, even in the face of very slight provocations, then we can see how right immediately it completely destroys the peace of one's mind, and also it destroys the immediate surrounding in the family, in the society likewise. And also from the karmic point of view, such an incidence of anger and hatred is supposed to have such a destructive effect in completely eating away, so to say, destroying our past karmas, and thus leaving none of our past virtues accumulated with such effort to sustain true lives and bring forth its result. That's how the practice of patience follows the practice of morality, and that although one may succeed to keep some moral ethic, and by that may hope to be born in higher rebirths, and thus be able to make good use of one's own past action of generosity by keeping the possibility of even building on it. Yet once one gives in to anger and hatred, then all these efforts would be undone in a short instant. And in this regard, Acharya Shantideva has in great length reasoned against our justification to feel angry and hatred in the face of adversities, in the face of others' way of relating to oneself, and has through all means possible, from all possible angles, taught us to remain patient, and how by being patient one doesn't lose, one only remains to gain, whereas by giving into the forces of anger and hate, although it may seemingly appear to benefit oneself, but all it does is completely destroy oneself in the short run and in the long term. And one of the main important points that Shantideva brings up is that in our daily life, ordinarily, when we come upon some person who is intoxicated or is possessed by some kind of a harmful spirit or whatnot, and if we know that that's what they are, then we would not take strong objection against their harmful speeches or their harmful actions against us. We will not take that personally. Likewise, one should be able to relate to an angry person, a hateful person, by seeing that it is under the influence of their anger and jealousy, their anger and hatred, that makes them kind of completely out of control and completely out of their self, and thus react in those ways that one takes issues with, and thus try to kind of see the hatred and the anger being the root of those actions, rather than take it to be the person himself solely responsible in it. and that way kind of make a distinction between the doer and between the person, between the agent, and the actual root of those actions, and thus try to kind of maintain one's own composure in the face of such adversities, and instead try to develop a love, compassion, and patience by knowing that under the influence of anger and hatred, those persons themselves are completely out of control, and they are themselves in a very, what you call, unpleasant situation, an uncomfortable situation, in a very, very inconvenient situation, and that way try to kind of take even the occasions of adversities, even the occasions of irritation, agitation, whatnot, as a means, as a factor for kind of growing further in one's spiritual practices, rather than giving into such miscalculation and one's own misperception of things.
Again,
And also with regard to the practice of patience, basically, if we succeed in maintaining our own composure of mind and maintain our patience against adversities, then the adversities lessen. They become less and less. Besides that, whatever adversities may be there, they will not be able to bring harm anymore to oneself. And in this regard, Shantideva gives a very good analogy. He says that suppose that the entire landscape of the world is filled with thorns and one is barefoot, then as a means of overcoming that situation, if one were to think of, or one way to consider what you call collecting as expense amount of what you call leather to cover the whole landscape, then it's hardly possible to ever be able to do so. Whereas if one could just have just enough size of a leather to cover one's soul, then wherever one wants to go, one could go peacefully, one could go comfortably. Likewise, it says that it is basically one's own mind that needs to be tamed. And once it is tamed, then no matter what external situations, external conditions there may be, they will not be able to harm oneself. Rather, one will be able to, take them to contribute to one's own positivity, transform them into one's own, path, and thus not succumb to the forces of adversities, the external adversities. And then comes the perfection of effort, the joyous effort. And joyous effort, as the term itself says, it involves taking joy in engaging in the positivities. If, say, we engage in some kind of work, some kind of action, which may ordinarily be considered virtuous, yet when we take them up, when we approach them, and if we do so under compulsion as a task, without any enthusiasm, without any appreciation of its value, without any joy, then that kind of action, no matter how it may appear to others, that cannot be counted as a virtue. And likewise, is the case with any kind of actions such as that of generosity or morality, patience, etc., or concentration and wisdom, whatever, unless we lack such a joyous approach to them and kind of build up our strength, enthusiasm within such a force of joy in them, enthusiasm in them, then whatever effort we may make, whatever action we may engage in, all will be just undone, all will be just wasted. And thus one needs to have a clear idea of how to approach the practices by taking joy in them. And that is possible by reflecting more and more on the benefit, on the significance of them. And the more we see the excellences, the benefit and significance of them, the more joyous, the more enthusiastic we will be in a genuine sense. And through that, we'll be able to engage in our practices without eventually burning out from engaging in them, which usually is the case when we approach from a wrong perspective. And then comes the perfection of concentration, and following that is the perfection of wisdom. And now these two, for a bodhisattva, having aspired or set out on the path to attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings, which means completely eliminating the obscurations to liberation and the obscurations to omniscience within the bodhisattva's own mind stream, there is the need of eventually building up the mental, spiritual strength to the point of pointed concentration. And based on that, whatever special insight, wisdom that the bodhisattva succeeds in building, the force of that wisdom will be directed, directed fully against the afflictions, against the root of the afflictions in the form of self-grasping and ignorance within ourselves. And it is through such way that he or she will be eventually able to fulfill the aspiration, the initial inspiration to attaining Buddhahood. Otherwise, no matter how much he or she may be able to engage in the prior practices such as generosity, morality, patience, and joyous effort, whatnot, so long as he or she lacks in the practice of concentration to begin with, and the practice of wisdom, then no matter how much he or she may engage in the previous practices, that will not, in a practical sense, contribute to eventually cutting the root of samsara, cutting the root of ignorance within himself or herself, which is the only way that the Bodhisattva could attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. So it is in this respect that the practice of concentration and wisdom should be seen and should be taken up. And particularly in the case of wisdom, it is the wisdom that sees the reality, because ultimately it is our miscalculation of the reality or the actual mode of existence of things and kind of misconceiving it to the point of completely completely misreading it, and on the basis of that kind of a self-grasping, on the basis of that kind of a clinging to a completely unfounded, exaggerated notion of existence of things and oneself, then we generate afflictions, and then following that, these trigger the non-virtuous actions that kind of plunge us further deeper into the samsaric existence, and thus making us unable to be actually of ultimate benefit to all sentient beings. So it is in this light that the practices of concentration and wisdom is taken up by Bodhisattva, and that all the previous actions, all the previous practices are ultimately geared towards building the supportive factors that would contribute to building up the force of all the potential of concentration and the wisdom. We'll have a few minutes break here, and when we resume, His Holiness will perform the bodhicitta ceremony.
Matoda the Shiva Pia, the Sechik Z, Suzuda Z, Karin, the Chigita Z, Chomata, the Matoda, in the Sechik Z, Rabal that is Shumachi, but the Sechik Z, Sabaji, not the Sejik the Chuchumata Kanichi and Mutu Fish Nagumutu Chenlo, Cheva Chenlo Janana, Cheva Chenlo, the Yala, the Masnik, Cheva Piggy, Cheva Pisagi, that Chuchuga, Sajit, Nahal, the Judge Pumutiva, the bed, Lama in the center of the bowl, the Chusma, Nahal, the Chuju Sachi, the Petition, that the Trisur somebody, but the negative, the that under some of the Shiva Pisha, the Chenojan, Yala, the Shiva Piggy. That Shiva the Pita is Sechi, Sechi, Chukama, and then Sechi. The Sechi and the Tea. We get Senia, Sword, Chin, and Senchi Mato. The last Jimichi with the Senchi by Yoma, the Santa Senchi of the Minato, the Oman, Shigri, and the sending everything because it. The quite chicken and the quite enough to the Mawish and the Mawish was the good of that Yatan Sultan and the Senchi.
Very soon we'll be resuming this session, which will be on the bodhicitta ceremony. And before we actually go through the ceremony, the Sangha members here will lead in the recitation of prayers which are meant to bless and consecrate whatever actually arranged and imagined objects of offerings we have, they will be consecrated and offered to the myriads of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas filling the entire space above us and in all 10 directions. So the audience is also requested to join in the consecration prayer through your imagination, and do hold out if you have any object of offering, either in the form of flower or what you call mala, or any object. It could be any object. Do hold out in your hand, or if you don't have it at hand, you could imagine that, and then make it as a part of the myriads of offerings that we have actually been able to arrange here, and also through imagination, increase that and expand that, increase that, and then while the session is going on, while the prayer is going on, do come up with a deep sense of gratitude and appreciation of the qualities of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and make an offering out of them. And before we go through the actual ceremony, Rinpoche will once again take the trouble in leading us through the actual cultivation of bodhicitta. And thus, when we go through the actual ceremony, which will involve repeating the 3 rounds of the text of the ceremony after the master, one is supposed to develop a felt sense of bodhicitta within oneself by reflecting on, say, to begin with the suffering nature of samsara upon oneself and extending that concern towards others, and then reflecting more on the kindness of other sentient beings, and thereby generating love and compassion towards them, and eventually developing a strong resolve to work, a strong resolve to shoulder their responsibility, and then eventually seeing the attainment of Buddhahood to be the ultimate answer to the fulfillment of that aspiration. So that way one should come up with a felt sense of bodhicitta. Something should be felt rather than merely kind of go through the ceremony and without any feeling in one's mind. So that's what one should be primarily focused on and try to make the best of this ceremony. So one's notion of offering, when the Sangha members go through the consecration prayer, one's notion of offering should not be merely limited to what we have been able to actually arrange here. Rather, use this as a basis to multiply it through one's own imagination and let the offerings multiply to the extent of completely filling the space and making offering out of them to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, filling the entire space above us in all 10 directions. And feel that those are the offering materials that are being consecrated.
That's the question for the student that Dunga part of the knowledge, but job, game, and the bed, job, game, Suki on the bed, Casa, bread of the Madra, and that dark was it that particular bed. Suggested the water, the water, dark chimney chow, the dark chimney chow number, the chimney, the roll, the fire, the sun, and that was suggest Haji Pasha, suggest chicky, and that Haji Butu again, roll the fire, and never solely, to the mother, but Sanji Jordan did it. Sanji Jordan did Sibana, check at the neck at the Casamigate. Chitty the Sijay Tom, but the Tabella Kenima. Kui then had a regular Sijay Tom, but the Tabella Tura. Do not be Sanjik, who's also get Java, Tamatu, give out the Sijay, the not cheap, the big Sanjik, and then the Daya training. The target, the Sanjik, the 20 member Martha, Taji about the Taji over the Taji red. He that give you one that suggests the target and the Taji what about that. How the Taji what on the chamber of the latter day, who you want to draw a chow number summer sweat of the chin and then children of your Taji the church of Batania, Dala also so the young say about the racer.
So, like mentioned earlier, again, recultivate the imagination that the space above us is completely filled with millions of objects of veneration, such as Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Forest Masters, the supportive protectors, etc. And that around oneself, try to imagine the entire sentient beings, though for the sake of auspiciousness, kind of appearing in the form of human beings, yet undergoing their own respective sufferings of their own realms of existence, and try to generate a strong sense of affinity with them in that we all want happiness and do not want suffering, and yet at the same time we are all tormented by all different layers of sufferings, and do develop a strong sense of empathy with all sentient beings around oneself, and beginning with reflection on how every sentient being without discrimination have served as one's mother in countless lifetimes before, and how just as the mother of this lifetime they have undergone untold suffering and misery and have risked even their cherished life for our own welfare. That true not just for one time but for countless lifetimes, and through such a reflection do develop a strong conviction with regard to how they have been kind to oneself, and also how they have been kind when they were related to us in other ways than being mother, and through that develop let a strong, genuine, natural sense of repaying the kindness and arise within oneself, and then in terms of what would be the ultimate way of what would be the highest level of repaying the kindness, what would be the ultimate way of placing them in lasting joy and happiness and complete freedom from suffering. Try to feel that at this moment, no matter how much one may wish, one doesn't have the ability, though one carries the potential to become Buddha, but unless and until one becomes fully enlightened Buddha, one doesn't have that ability. And thus, under such discernment with regard to how to be able to benefit them, ultimately one has to retain, one has to attain Buddhahood do develop a strong sense of wish that may oneself attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. So in short, one should be drawing on whatever understanding one may have, whatever experiences one may have so far through one's own effort, through the opportunities of meeting masters, and through having studied and having taken time in practicing on one's own. Whatever information, whatever understanding, experience one may have, try to draw on them and pull them all together to develop as much as possible a felt sense of wish, a felt sense of deep-rooted wish that all sentient beings be freed from suffering and all of them be adorned with happiness, and that in that light may I attain Buddhahood so that I could make that happen to all sentient beings. So that's kind of the gist of the mental cultivation one should try to come up with and try to maintain that through their ceremony. And in terms of the actual ceremony, we'll be repeating in 3 rounds the text of the ceremony, which goes like this. First of all, it calls upon the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of all 10 directions, and then also it calls upon the attention of the master, and then one recalls the past actions of the Buddhas who have completely eliminated all obscurations, and also calls upon the recalls the action of the Bodhisattvas now abiding in higher levels of realizations, and recalling their action in the light of how they began their training in the great vehicle by generating bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment. And then you make a sincere prayer with the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of 10 direction and one's own master. In their presence, you make a sincere prayer that likewise may I, calling oneself by one's name, may I too, through the support of the positive potentials accumulated through one's own practice of generosity, morality and meditation, and through one's effort in encouraging others to engage in these practices, and through one's efforts in rejoicing in the virtues of oneself and others, and with the felt purpose of freeing sentient beings from the lower realms of suffering, liberating them from the samsaric existence, elevating the low vehicle practitioners, the low scope practitioners from their position to the level of the bodhisattvas, and then placing the bodhisattvas in their training to the state of Buddhahood. When stating these to be one's purpose, then one make a sincere effort to generate bodhicitta and kind of call upon the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and one's master to pay attention and kind of help oneself to let this happen, which is to help oneself in kind of generating this bodhicitta. And all through the session, one do maintain a sense of bodhicitta and kind of make a fervent prayer that may this bodhicitta that I have generated now stay along with me all throughout until I attain Buddhahood. So that's the meaning, the gist meaning of the text of the ceremony that one will be repeating after the master in Tibetan in 3 rounds.
escape the temptation of the sin.
So that was the gist meaning of the text of the actual ceremony that we will be repeating after the Master in Tibetan. Let me once again read it in English so that one has a clear idea of what it is about and what one is saying. Oh, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, oh Master, please pay attention to what I have to say. Just as the Buddhas of the past, who have completely eliminated all obscurations, and just as the Bodhisattvas abiding in higher levels of realizations have at the beginning of their training in the great vehicle generated bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment. Likewise, may I, calling oneself by the name, may I too, through the support of positive potential accumulated through my own practice of generosity, morality, and meditation, through the positive potential accumulated through encouraging others to engage in them, and through rejoicing in the virtues of myself and others, and also with the purpose of freeing sentient beings from the lower realms of suffering, liberating those from the samsara, elevating those in the extreme of liberation, elevating them to the position of the bodhisattvas, and then eventually placing the bodhisattvas to a state of Buddhahood. May I generate bodhicitta. And at the end of the third round, one should reinforce the cultivation of bodhicitta and what you call seal it with the firm prayer that may this bodhicitta remain with you without decline until one attains Buddhahood.
以上述所说的呢，就是我们的这个菩提境界的文，然后这个菩提境界的文呢，我们现在呢在一段以语呢在念诵出来，然后呢大意就是如此的，大意就是说就如过去一切诸佛呢完全的消止了他们一切的烦恼呢，所以和就如一切的诸佛菩萨现在住十方的一些住在十方一切在住在高层次的证悟的这些一切的菩萨呢，在他们开始修持大乘佛法的开始呢，升起这个菩提心呢，所以说呢，我本身呢，所以说呢，就如他们如此呢，我现在本身呢，我的然后念诵你自己本身的名字，类似俗家名字或者你们的法名，然后呢，通过这个上业的支持呢，这些上业呢，也是通过我们修持这个布施、持戒、忍辱、精进、禅定以及智慧呢。以及通过呢，鼓励其他人呢，其他众生呢，能够如此修持呢，然后也是通过随喜本身以及其他人所造的善业呢，然后呢，为了要把一切众生呢，从这些三恶道里面呢，解脱出来呢。然后呢，把一切从在娑婆世界里面的六道轮回的众生呢，从里面解脱出来呢，把一切在这个下士道以及中士道的这些修持者呢，把他们能够带到上士道的大乘修行呢，或者甚至最后呢，把 这些菩萨呢都能够全部置入于佛国里面呢。如此呢，也愿我本身能够如此的升起这个菩提心。然后呢，也如此呢，直到我成佛为止呢，能够继续有着这个同样菩提心。然后我们现在持续念诵3次，然后呢念诵3次的时候呢，我们就要回向，然后我们就要就有一个很强烈的感觉，就是说，希望我们升起的菩提心呢，能够和我们常住在一起，直到我们证悟佛果为止。然后呢，我们现在就跟着法王以这个藏文念诵。
Chojuna Shubhe.
Chojuna Shubhe. Please repeat.
Chojuna Shubhe.
Chojuna Shubhe.
Sanjita.
Sanjita.
Chanchu Samba.
Chanchu Samba.
Kanje.
Kanje.
Dala.
Dala.
Gonsusu.
Gonsusu.
Loben.
Loben.
Dala.
Dala.
Gonsusu.
Gonsusu.
Da Mindi Shijiwa.
Da Mindi Shijiwa. At this point, we call out one's own name.
Da Mindi Shijiwa.
Da Mindi Shijiwa.
Shua Shanta To.
Shua Shanta To.
Jimbal Chungwata.
Jimbal Chungwata.
Sujemli Chungwata.
Sujemli Chungwata.
Gombali Chungyi.
Gombali Chungyi.
Giye Zawa.
Giye Zawa.
Jibata.
Jibata.
Jito.
Jito.
Zawata.
Zawata.
Jibala Jesu.
Jibala Jesu.
Irawa.
Irawa.
Ti. Chita.
Chita.
Ngeji.
Ngeji.
Ijen Sheba.
Ijen Sheba.
Rajumba.
Rajumba.
Yantaba.
Yantaba.
Zobe Sanji.
Zobe Sanji.
Chondende.
Chondende.
Nata.
Nata.
Satsumbola.
Satsumbola.
Roto Shube.
Roto Shube.
Chanchu Samba.
Chanchu Samba.
Samba Chumbu.
Samba Chumbu.
Naji.
Naji.
Kambu.
Kambu.
Lana Meba.
Lana Meba.
Yantaba.
Yantaba.
Chanchu Chumbu.
Chanchu Chumbu.
Tujiba.
Tujiba.
Ejendo.
Ejendo.
Da Mindi Shijiwa.
Da Mindi.
Dindine Londe.
Dindine Londe.
Chisi Chanchu Nimbu.
Chisi Chanchu Nimbu.
La.
La.
Chiji Bado.
Chiji Bado.
Senje.
Senje.
Madruwana.
Madruwana.
Drwata.
Drwata.
Madruwana.
Madruwana.
Drwata.
Drwata.
Uma Chempana.
Uma Chempana.
Uyumwata.
Uyumwata.
Nyonso Nangele.
Nyonso Nangele.
Mandipana.
Mandipana.
Nyonso.
Nyonso.
Nangele.
Nangele.
Ndayi.
Dawe.
Leto.
Leto.
Lana Meba.
Lana Meba.
Yantaba.
Yantaba.
Zobe.
Zobe.
Chanchu Chumbu.
Chanchu Chumbu.
Senjiba Jiru.
Senjiba Jiru.
Atene Tombo Sole. Niva Atene Jindi Jiru.
So that was the first round. Now we'll repeat the same for the second round. And again, while repeating it, do cultivate a felt sense of bodhicitta and remembering the meaning of the text of the ceremony. Do mean sincerely what you say, and towards the end, again, reinforce one's cultivation of bodhicitta and wish and pray that from now until enlightenment, the mind of bodhicitta may ever remain with you without decline.
现在是第一次度过的，然后第二次我们跟着大家度过。那就是说，我们在度过的时候，有些是我们要的事情，要的是无论什么事，最后是我们要一个人的基本的意义，然后呢，要真实的说出自己的感受说的话。 然后呢，我们在产品的时候，也真的是希望从现在到
处中呢，苏比，三界的，长住什么，康界，大了，公叔叔，罗贝，大了，公叔叔，当面的西九啊，就我讲大头，金巴的中华党，七天里，中华党，公巴的中医，皮早啊，一巴党，一早早啊，一巴了，一岁一龙啊，第其他年纪，第一些吧，那种吧，然后大吧。左边三界，中间的，那当，萨丘波了，罗多日贝，长住什么，三八七部，那界，广播，拉那没吧，然后大吧，左边长处，全部，突击吧，一线多。当面的西极为天真的状态，其实长处经过了七节八度，世界马之完了，不马千般了，不用完。用手拿眼里，马地板，用手拿眼里，带给他，拉那没吧，然后打吧，左边，长处全部，三七八九，可能还有那个，说那就是三年暑假呀，他过个10他就给跟着他不说的不家伙，第一次都他被不说给我这些吧，他的时间给带来，这个上班这个呗，你要就被上的当这个那些。
Now, when we repeat it for the third and final round, do make sure that we reinforce that sense of bodhicitta, aspiring to attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings that we have imagined surrounding us, which fills the entire space, and reflecting particularly on the suffering nature of oneself and others, do feel very sincerely moved and concerned about that, and look up to Buddhahood to be the only answer to deliver them and oneself once and for all from suffering, and do develop a strong sense of aspiring to attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings, and at the end of the recitation feel that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and the Master have witnessed to one's request, and that one's request is granted. And whatever object one may be holding, either actually in one's hand or imagining, do use that as a reminder for this occasion when one has generated bodhicitta in the presence of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and one's Master, and use that as a reminder to not let any circumstances, any events to cause any decline to one's bodhicitta.
以说呢，在这之后呢，就不应该让任何的对我们的设施的问题有任何的效力。
修备三阶堂，长久三把，三阶大了，公司是，罗贝大了，公司是，让民的西计瓦，就要先大头，新巴的中华岛，西太的中华岛，公巴的中医，吉达瓦，吉巴的，吉达扎瓦，吉巴的吉苏，伊隆瓦蒂，其他年纪，提前西巴，扎中巴，杨大巴，周边川籍，中间的那个，三千多了，罗多日币，长寿生吧，生吧全部，那几，黄布，拉拉面吧，杨大吧，周边长寿全部，推荐吧，提前多，大面的，西季长，天天的中的，其实长寿。宁波了，七节八道，世界马周瓦的，周瓦的，马周瓦的，周瓦的，乌马切巴的，乌永瓦的，杨索南给的，曼迪巴的，杨索南给的，大伊给的，拉拉梅巴。杨大宝，周边长寿全部，三阶巴街舞，真的，三阶巴真这个被高光，但是那家属的啥也上班，那确实上街给他真的。So at
this point, having made the effort in cultivating bodhicitta within one's mind stream, one has every reason to rejoice in this achievement and feel that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas filling the space above us and playing witness to this ceremony are also pleased with this achievement.
然后呢，现在在我们画的这几个东西画的，现在这两个人，我觉得我们这个信息上我们上面，然后呢，我们这个在我们其他提供这个就是我们的对这个到我们这个就达到非常的
那边세치 맨날 배제도 다 가서 세는 얘기 근데 가서 이게 시제를 보았다든지 시제를 보았다 시제 그게 그런 레세버들이 생기지는 다 되게 디나요 딱 거기 단단히 제통을 남아두다 जब मिचा हुआ समझता तब कभी मैं बची अन्य पे होता सीजे ने मगों आता सीजे पे ऐसा गीत वाला तो जेबची मत जेबत तक से योगा बाद चलो किंतु तो सुमाकाली खबरें योगा से आना मतलब जेबची मिचे बता तो सीजे ने जय में मावा तो कदा अबात तो रोग के लम्बा तो छिटू होता तो भी लम्बा तो सिर्फ जय के ऊपर माता बात अन्य तक तो ये चौंसठ समय वाला तो छिटू मावा तो तेरे दुमी तावाला तो तेरे में देखा 그 선생의 유지체는 그도지하는 다 그리고 제가다 다 나부치지 됐송거래서 됐송을 까부치지 용거래서
with the purpose of maintaining whatever level of bodhicitta one may have generated now, and also with the purpose of enhancing it and bringing it to a much deeper and much more stronger level, one should from now on try as much as possible to never ever give up one's hope of helping others, and never ever give up on other sentient beings. More particularly, one should guard oneself from such actions as deceiving one's parents and one's masters and others who have been so kind to oneself, who have been of special kind and special benefit to oneself, and also whoever is making effort in generating bodhicitta and engaging, practicing in the bodhisattva deeds, and never ever allow oneself to kind of come in their way, and also be alert to one's tendencies of deceiving others and taking advantage of other sentient beings, and rather always reverence sentient beings for their kindness to oneself, for their at the very least the potential of being immense benefit to oneself and others, and their Buddha potential within them. And also, irrespective of whether or not one knows that the other person is a bodhisattva, if one engenders or generates anger or hatred towards them, then the consequences, the destructive consequences is very immense, and thus reminding of that pitfall in generating anger and hatred towards others who could be a bodhisattva, always maintain the presence of mind in keeping oneself from feeling angry and hateful of others. And these are what are called doing just the opposite of them are what are called engaging in the four leg dharma, so to say, for destructive actions, which will have a very damaging effect on one's own bodhicitta. And guarding against them, restraining them, would naturally involve or entail engaging or cultivating what are called the four positivities meant to sustain bodhicitta and further enhance it.
呢就是这个希望或者然后上台的这个这种心态。其实呢，都是觉得自己他的很有意思，他的自己大人，因为是他马上到我们的未来的回应他们对这个社会的这个这些都替他搞的未来的时候，然后呢，第四呢是说，无论我们遇到的地方是如果遇到的真实的真实情况，那我们所得到的是一个非常非常的复杂。所以说呢，这我们需要避免的就是要真实的，因为呢，其他的不是你真的去避免的人是一个复杂的，最重要的是呢，我们就意识个人的意识派的这些个人的这些就是这个是个人的应该是基础只有一些对其他人具体的那么就是说我们要确实是我们下面就是代表的。
其实当但是这样，有就当然不能这些都是，等于了怎么能定义是，当然
And once again, the Sangha members are going to recite the prayer called the 7-day practice, and that is meant to express our gratitude towards the Master and also towards the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and express us for playing witness and also for bestowing this ceremony of generating bodhicitta on us. So while the Sangha members recited to maintain mental presence in reflecting on the 7 limb prayer and to imagine and mentally engaging in those practices directed towards the Master and the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
现在呢，就是在继续这个这是我也是我的这个记忆，这是呢，其实也是所谓的也说出来的。然后在中国有主要是中国在第1个小时的业务的假期，所以说基本是有一个这是就有这个，然后呢，这个就因为是什么时候要知道其他的下午要基本上就跟一些就是说就是关于后我们的汉语的包括我们一起两个公司在这件事情所需要的
Java, Ganden, Ornament,
So following this, the Sangha members will be reciting a dedication prayer, and while joining in this dedication prayer, do dedicate whatever memories we may have accumulated from the past many days of listening to the Dharma and maintaining the spiritual effort in developing bodhicitta, and also from the actual ceremony of generating bodhicitta that we have just gone. Do dedicate them for the achievement of the attainment of Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings, and in particular, please dedicate them for the smooth undertaking of the restoration work of this Shongling Monastery, which have been very, very kind in giving this venue for the past many days, and also for one more teaching to come. So please make sure to include the smooth undertaking of the project of restoration of this monastery, and also for the smooth undertaking, smooth happening of all the projects that the monastery undertakes in the future.
然后呢，在最后呢，现在在负责这个我们的下午的帮助，我们就把我们中间送下午的时候，我们在完成我一切我做的比赛，包括我的包括这积极的一些地方，我参加有不同的一些而且我们把这个业务比赛，让我们做一切这些。 任务然后呢，特别是我们应该以上这个双对双子这边，在对双子，希望呢双子这边有积极的对双子这边但是对我们在就方面我对他的这个提供都是所以说呢，这里面这里讲这个双子这边不。
Oh
第四对更难懂。